Welcome to Cody in the Cinema. Today I'm discussing my thoughts on Aftersun, which I just picked up at Barnes & Noble, and in a series of my first A24 boutique purchases from them. I'd never seen the picture, it was a blind buy, and if you haven't heard of it, the plot synopsis or the description is there's this fading vacation resort, and this 11-year-old girl, Sophie, treasures some rare time with her loving and idealistic father, Callum. And this film is more or less a recollection of their time together, a celebration of their time together, and all the joys and sadnesses that come with that. I wanted to sit a day on this before I talked about it, because as I was watching it, I got that feeling that I sometimes get with a movie, that this thing's going to last. I don't think I'm being caught up in the moment, but I want to make sure. So I sat down, slept on it, and today, after I've had enough time to process it, I do believe that this is one of those movies that a decade from now, 2 decades from now, people will be talking about. In fact, I actually think this thing might end up in the Sight and Sound poll at some point as a vote. And I want to talk about why I think this film is so special and what it does well, and why it's such a unique cinematic achievement. Now you can see that I have some of the art cards set out here, and if you get a chance and get to buy this piece, it's really got some good stuff in here. And I think these do a really good job of displaying some of the visual style of the film in as much as you can with art cards. As I watched this film, I constantly saw myself in it. Every vacation I ever took with my parents, I just kept having that happen over and over again as I was watching the film. It is so precise at demonstrating what that feels like as a young child, kind of going along with an adult, in this case one adult, and sort of being at the mercy of that. There's a scene where she's locked out, for example. I thought that was clever. The unique ability of Sophie, to find new friends. The fact that she slips into a game of pool, and it's all so natural, so organic, and so truthful in how it's portrayed. The color scheme in this, the visual storytelling, the commitment to visual storytelling is kind of unmatched in a lot of the modern movies I've seen. There's a rather long sequence of a few minutes where a conversation is happening between Sophie and her dad, and we kind of get this stack of books. So we have this stack of books like on the left, and then right beside of it we have a TV screen. And your entire observation as the audience is through that TV screen next to the books. I feel like a lot of other directors would have edited that segment down to try to make it a little bit more normal. Director refuses to do that. There is a scene that is constantly brought back to us, and in my opinion, for a great effect in the end, of these flashing lights in this club, and it contrasts greatly with these beautiful vistas and so forth and ocean shots, and it's just very consistent. The director believes in those shots. Parts of this, and I'm sure others have noticed this, really reminded me of Beau Travail, the great film that is on the Sight and Sound. And I've seen that picture once, and I kind of think that's something I'll be getting in another Criterion cell and looking at that again, and I'd kind of be curious to see how much influence there was there. I love the use of blended media. So there is this found footage aspect that I think does a good job of displaying sort of the immaturity, but I don't know if immaturity is the right word, the learning process of the young child who is in this sort of coming age story. There are some moments in the film where I thought maybe it would get a little bit more conventional in terms of, well, the daughter's going to make this mistake or that mistake, but it never does that. It's simply a vacation a time and a place with a parent that has come and gone and will never come back again. And that's the heart of the story, and that's why it's so good. And I'll just say that again in another way. We have all had these experiences in our lives where we've been with a person or a group of people, and it wasn't the easiest thing to get together. This could be a group of buddies from college that you haven't seen in forever. It could be a parent you haven't seen in a long time. You know, it could be someone from out of town that happens to be staying in your home, and you have maybe a great dinner and then they leave. That feeling isn't just Callum and Sophie in this film. That is so much larger than what this film takes on individually, and as a result, there is a greater truth revealed throughout this very good-looking picture. I mean, this thing, the way the colors pop in it, especially around the pool scenes and so forth, the image is stuck in my head. Often, images like that won't stay with me the way these have. Just these, you know, there's a whole scene where she's playing a game in the arcade with this young man, and that felt, you know, whenever I was growing up, I remember one summer I played Mortal Kombat 2, just like over and over again on this machine at this campground. I can tell you exactly how it felt. The lighting in the room, it was this like barn game room, and I was brought back to that memory because whatever the director was putting out there, I picked up, and I felt that connection, and that's the sign of great filmmaking. The fact that these images that are seemingly innocuous or like, I don't know, just not overly important, are just implanted in my mind, demonstrates what a beautiful film this is. And by the way, at the time of this filming, there's ice everywhere outside. There's snow, it's cold, and yet I still was able to be enveloped in this world this director created. And one of the scenes that I really liked, that I found to have a great emotional impact, there's an ocean scene, and it's the length of the shot and the way it's shot feels like something closer to, let me say, Tarkovsky, okay? And the commitment to what that shot was doing, to talk around spoilers, it resonated deeply. And it was beautiful and a little bit overwhelming in some ways. This film, Aftersun, I am quite sure checks every box of a great film. Memorable characters, well acted, a commitment to visual storytelling. And by the way, this movie doesn't do what some A24 movies do and put a ton of the heavy lifting on the actors. The actors give great performances, but there's that commitment to showing in visual style over and over again. Some great close-ups. There's a shot where the father's on one end dealing with an injury. There's a wall. The daughter is sort of aloof to that maybe. It's just the visuals are there. Everything you can think of that a great film needs. Like I said, just the tremendous pop off of the colors. I mean, sometimes films lately forget that motion pictures can be colorful and beautiful. It all works for me. So those are just some of the thoughts I had, as best I know to describe them. Sometimes a great piece of work is hard to describe, you know, because you feel so like you're falling so short of what the filmmaker delivered. But I do think you should check this out, and I do think it's worth a nice boutique release. So if you've seen this and want to let me know your thoughts, I would love to hear them in the comments. Click the like button if you could, please. That will help grow the channel if you did enjoy the content today. And consider subscribing if you haven't. I cover lots of content like this. Sometimes I do movie reviews, hauls. I talk a lot about Criterion films and Westerns. At any rate, we will see you next time on Cody in the Cinema.